Ward Cowan, I have a Trane XL1200 Model TWX736B100A0 that stopped working. The outside unit has a red LED flashing and it makes a clicking noise even when I remove the fuse. I recently replaced a capacitor and some bad 1/4 of an inch female blade connectors, after which it worked fine for a couple of weeks. Are there instruction available for how to use the test wire located on the circuit board?
Thanks. Can you give me any more details about your issue?
The unit was installed in 1991, but has not had a lot of use because we use fans in the summer and heat mostly with wood in the winter.
Okay, got it. Last thing, JustAnswer charges a fee, generally around $18, to post your type of question to HVAC Experts. You only pay if satisfied. There are a couple customers ahead of you. Are you willing to wait a bit?
Yes, I have answered enough questions on JustAnswer myself to qualify to be paid, but it has been hard for me to find time to continue.
Okay. Now I'm going to take you to a page to place a secure deposit with JustAnswer. Don't worry, this chat is saved. After that, we will finish helping you.
Hello, for the amount you offered I can afford to spend an hour with you on this. If it looks like we will get beyond that, I will be presenting an additional services offer that will pay for 2 hours additional. Let me know now please if that will be okay with you, or if you would like me to opt out to a large number of other experts here. Next, please attach a well-focused, close-up photo of the wiring diagram glued inside the service panel. The picture needs to be taken from straight on, in very good light. You can use the paper clip icon at the right end of the toolbar at the top of this dialog box to attach it here. Include a picture of the thermostat wire connections to the printed circuit board in the same area and some pictures from several different angles of the area where you did the work. If you have an error code showing, tell me what the code readout is on the wiring diagram or a sticker next to the diagram, please. If there is no paper clip icon, look for the plus attach files link at left of your send button. I can mark it up with troubleshooting instructions. We can go from there.
Phil, when I originally asked my question they said the fee would be $18, but for some reason it went to $28. I didn't think it would take that long, but if it does I can accept that. The LED flashes 3 times, so I assume it is a code 3. If you need anything else let me know. The capacitor I replaced was 135 MFD. I have DVM and a capacitor tester. Ward.
Hello again. I am a customer of the site just as you are. I just answer questions is all. I would query them about the $28 amount. It is a usual price range though. http://screencast.com/t/xt7rxflv.
Phil, here is what I was able to get before the fuse got smoked. Wards.
What amperage was the fuse that blew? Was it in the power circuit and larger than your little finger, or was it a tiny fuse in the 24V circuit? Did it blew instantly or take 4 or 6 seconds? If it was a 30 to 60 amp fuse and blew instantly, the compressor most likely has a dead short, burnt out. You can test that by very carefully marking each of the 3 wires attached to the compressor, removing them, then using an ohm meter to check for resistance to the frame of the unit, or no resistance between any of the 3 combinations. Normal reads between the 3 combinations are typical of 2, 3 and 5 ohms, the lowest 2 should add to the highest ohm read if the windings are good.
Phil, I need to correct myself, it did not smoke a fuse. A relay or something seemed to arch and the compressor shut down and the voltage spiked as I described. Perhaps that is what I would see if the unit shut down when it reached the temperature on the thermostat, so if you want me to try it again I will. Ward.
You will need a clamp around amp meter to do the needed tests, $30 at Harbor Freight and $50 at Home Depot or Lowe's. https://www.google.com.gt/search. HL equals S419 and site equals imp and TBM equals ish and source equals HP and BY equals 1201 and B equals 619 and Q equals clamp plus amp plus meter and OC equals clamp plus amp plus meter and G's underscore L equals M.12.0 I 19.3651.10317.0.12317.0.0.0.1796.1796.8 to 1.1.0. 0.1 acres. 0.64.m.20.1.1796.co ZZS8 EP7Q.
Phil, I already have a clamp around amp meter. Ward.
Great, do those amperage tests I put on the screenshot for you earlier.
Phil, large red wire equals 6.5 amps. The other three wires were all 0.07 amps between blue lines, 14.2 volts between green lines, 12.5 volts. Ward.
Thanks, between the two greens should be 230 volts, and the voltage between the two blues should be 230 volts. All of the amp readings are grossly low. This points to mistakes in metering or a BRO-NE 1 or line 2. Check the voltage each of the two green marked wires to ground. Each should read 120 volts. Next, follow those wires to the disconnect switch, the wall next to the unit, and measure the voltage between line 1 and line 2. Then turn the switch off and measure the voltage between the same two wires coming into the disconnect switch. If get 230 volt read, then there is a problem at the disconnect, a blown fuse, or a bad breaker, whichever you have. If you do not have 230 volts across the two wires coming in, then there is a problem with the breaker for the AC unit at the house breaker panel. Be advised, working at the house breaker panel is dangerous for someone not trained to do that, and not using the proper Class 2 multimeter. Let me know what you find. If I miss you tonight, I will pick up your response in the morning.
Phil, it's raining too hard for me to do any more testing tonight. I get back to it tomorrow afternoon. Ward.
That will work. I am in all day and until 9 p.m. or so.
Phil, I feel the same way you do and caution people about working in an open panel box. I have installed many panel boxes and frequently work on open boxes. I have 240 volts coming to the disconnect box. I have 120 volts from each of the four connectors to ground. I have 240 vo0 LTS between the blue lines, but I only have 0.025 volts between the green lines. Very low amperage on the 3 small gauge wires and about 6 amps on the 8 or 10 gauge red wire. The fan is running but could not tell if the compressor is. The red LED on the thermostat flashes constantly and the blue LED for the auxiliary heat flashes dimly. Ward.
Thanks. Contactor that the blue and green marks point to is not closing or its contacts are bad. I cannot see the 24 volt coil on that contactor well enough to point those out to you. But it's a coil buried in the center of the contactor about 1 inch in diameter and 3/4 of an inch tall. With 2 terminals on it, if there is 24V across those two, the contactor should be closed. If the contact is not defective or with burnt contacts, you should have 240V across the 2 green marked terminals. Inspect it, please. Let me know what you can discover. We can go from there.
Phil, I have been working 12-hour days, but I will try to check out the contactor twos. Evening. I'll also try to get a better picture of it. Ward.
These days, working 12-hour days is a good thing. I will be here when you post back.
Phil, 12-hour days was a good thing when I was 15 to 65 years old. At 73 it tends to rag you out, but even at that I'm not complaining, just explaining why it may take me a few days to get back to you. It was 9 p.m. before I got home yesterday. and I have to bring up a load of firewood tonight, so it will be a couple of days before I can give you more info. Ward. Phil. I still have not resolved my problem. Between working, bad weather, and the need to feed the stove so we have heat, I've not been able to work on it. Hopefully I will be able to check out the contactor this week. Ward.
Hello again, Ward. 12-hour days, and packing your own firewood probably points to another 20 or 30 good years. Save that money though, I think most of us will be needing it. You can rate my progress anytime you like now, it will not close the question. Get back to me anytime, even if the question says closed or timed out, I am usually notified and will always pick it up in that case.
Phil, I can say you were interested in helping me, answered my questions promptly, and probably think of other positive feedback. However, through no fault on your part, I cannot say my problem was resolved or my question was answered. If that's what you are asking me to do, I will, let me know. Ward.
Hello again, Ward. The situation is this. Sometimes there is not a simple one-line type answer. In those cases we engage in a back-and-forth dialogue called troubleshooting. I cannot guarantee to coach anyone, regardless of their skill sets or instruments on hand, to a complete repair. In many cases a repair that several local technicians have given up on. Very often I do, however. But for roughly 1/5 of the average service call alone, I obviously cannot guarantee to fix. I feel the customer is paying for assistance, not any sort of guaranteed repair. I do bend over backwards, however, without a time limit, even if it's months, if I feel it is legitimate to continue the assistance. But that is all I can do from a distance, and for the modest amounts involved. Let me know if that makes any sense on your end or not. We can go from there. Hello, Ward. So far it sounds like a bad relay on the printed circuit board. If you can attach a very clear, close-up, well-lit, well-focused photo of the wiring diagram glued to the inside the blower service panel, I can mark it up with troubleshooting directions. We can go from there.
Phil, before I could continue with our discussion, I had to correct some problems with my computer that prevented me from staying online long enough to reply or use my email. As for all the money I am making when I work 12-hour days, most of the work I do is volunteer, otherwise I would hire an HVAC tech to fix it. I removed the contactor and these are the reading I got. The coil equals 8.3 ohms, closing the contacts on the right side equals 0, on the left side equals 15.3 ohms, which is a lot resistance for a contact. I have contact burnishers and we'll see if it can be cleaned up. If you can tell me what the operating voltage for the coil is, I will test it. Thank you, Ward.
Hello again. I understand about computer problems. You can stay with me on this without a time limit, even if you get a notice that says timed out. Just post as usual and I will reply. Your 15.3 read across the relay contacts does indeed point to a set of burned out contacts. However, it is real easy to get a bogus ohm reading. We should look into this a bit deeper. I need a clear, close-up, well-lit and well-focused photo of the wiring diagram glued to the inside of the blower compartment door for that. I can mark it up with precise troubleshooting directions. Use the paperclip icon at the top right of the toolbar for that.
Phil, I discovered yesterday why I've gotten different readings when I was trying to troubleshoot the unit. All of the surfaces had oxidation that needed to be scraped off before I could get an accurate reading, and the screws that held some of the leads on were rusted. I checked the contacts on the contactor with a light and it was easy to see they were pitted and burnt. I'll pick up a new one and see if that was my only problem. I'll still send you the picture of the schematic if you want it. Ward.
Hello again. All contacts after they have been in use for a year or so are pitted and burnt to some degree. So that look is not reliable. If the contact pads are entirely burnt off, however, then we know it's burned out contacts for sure. Yes, please send me the wiring diagram. That way I will have it in case we need to go further. I am putting no time limit on your question, so take your time.
Phil, good news, the unit is working again for now at least. When the unit stopped working was back in August 2015, about a week after I replaced the capacitor it stopped cooling. I didn't do anything to it until I contacted you. I ran into an old friend yesterday who used to do HVAC work and told him what was going on. He said it was probably low on Freon and offered to stop by and check it. The Freon was fine, so we fired the thing up and everything worked normally. I discovered why the voltage and 1 amp reading was so far off. The lines you marked for the voltage check went to L1, T1 and L2, T2. The large red wire that measured 6.5 amps was correct, but when I couldn't get a high amp reading on any of the other wires marked, I checked the large black-blue wire and found it was carrying 13 amps. Unless it stops working again, I'll never know why it stopped last August. Thanks for your help, Ward.
You are welcome, Ward. Thanks for letting me know. With these sorts of problems, the cause is generally an oxidized 24-volt wire connection or a bad printed circuit board, 80% of the time. 20% beyond that can be almost anything. Good luck with it.
Phil, I was forgetting, when I said I had not tried to use the unit since last August. My wife reminded me that when I tried the heat in the fall, the light on the thermostat kept flashing. I think you may be right about the oxidized contacts on the coil, because the only thing I did to it was remove and put back the contactor. Apparently removing the leads remove enough of the oxide to allow the coil to work. If I have the same problem again, I will check that first. Ward.
It's always a good idea to tighten and inspect all of the line voltage terminals, especially on motors and compressors. They tend to loosen with age, then burn off. And also replug all of the gang connectors and spade connectors in the 24V system.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.